this stands for what can I learn? And this is something that in my classroom, we made a poster of this. It was kind of our motto, what can I learn? The kids would know, wait, what can I learn? This was the question I wanted them to ask themselves. I wanted them to ask about other people around them. What can I learn? I'm reading this book. What can I learn from this book? All right, we're doing this assignment. What can I learn from this? To the point where I wanted them to, and I would teach them these skills about being interested in other people. I know at second grade it kind of seems crazy, but I think a lot of teachers underestimate the power of students, the power of kids. Kids are very curious. They're very good at learning things. And so it was so much fun when you have kids, very curious kids that have this mindset of, what can I learn? So, throughout the year, we'd be always talking about this. What can I learn? What can I learn? And you'd get these kids that would see one kid in the class could draw really, really well. And so these kids would go, wow, what can I learn from that kid? They would ask him, hey, can you teach me how to draw that? And then you'd have these kids, and then the person that's an artist, how good does that feel? It's almost like someone listening to you talk. If you're really good at something, and someone's like, hey, can you teach me a little bit about that? You're really good at drawing. You're like an artist. And we'd have these little kids that would pair up, and we'd have, one kid teaching another kid how to draw. And then that kid that was really good at drawing had no idea how to play wall ball. But that other kid that they just taught was good at wall ball. Now this kid that was the artist is like, hey, I saw that you're really good at wall ball. Can you teach me? And then those kids would become friends at recess, and they just had this awesome mindset of, what can I learn? And this is what I try to think about with, I don't care what person it is in the world, you can learn something from every single person. Again, it sounds cliche or whatever, but it's very true. So everyone you meet has something to teach you. Get on a mission to find out what it is that they can teach you. Keep an open mind and dismiss the incorrect information later. Okay, so here's an example you might run into more. What if you go, okay, well, what about that feminist woman? What can she teach me, that feminist? There's nothing. Well, even in that situation, I like to learn if a woman actually, a random woman is a big time feminist, and I just randomly meet her. I'm not trying to attract her. It could be some old lady. She's a feminist. What can I learn from her perspective? I ask, and I get curious. What drew you to feminism? What drew you to feminism? Because again, I'm curious about this, right? Feminism is like a thing that I'm very curious about right now. She might tell me, and then I'll go, okay, and I'll dig a little bit deeper. And you might find things from somebody that you hear they're a feminist and you want to just bash them, you want to combat them and all that stuff. But when you peel back the layers, you might find that the real reason that they like feminism was this thing over here that you can actually connect to them with. Or you just learn more about what feminists are thinking. So again, even though it's not like, what can I learn? They can teach me, I can change my life. It's like, I can learn a different perspective from them. I can learn why they see it the same way they do. Here's one for you guys, for the blue-pilled men out there that you know. Try to ask them questions. They teach us how to get a headache. There you go. That's the right frame of mind, though. What can you learn from them? You can learn how to get a headache. But with your blue pill buddies, I find it really interesting now that, being red pilled, and you guys too, when you look back at some of the things that maybe you used to do, some of the way that some of your blue pilled men look at things or think about things or love, romance, instead of combating them and being like, okay, this guy's a total blue pilled bait him on, I have nothing to learn from him. It's fun. Guys, I'm telling you, it's fun. See if you can figure out, dig deeper, try to get their perspective on things. So ask them, what is it that you really love about the idea of getting married? And you know what? You'd be curious, right? Because you know a lot of things about marriage, like what can go wrong. So you ask them, what is it that you look forward to about marriage? And get him to reveal his information. When you get him to talk about all these things, you can probably find that it's going to be a lot easier to eventually red pill them too, because you know their perspective on things. You know what it is they're trying to get out of this relationship. You know now the counter arguments that when they're ready to hear some red pill, you now know how to give them that dose a little bit easier. all because you just were curious about their perspective. What can I learn from this person? What can I learn? I love this quote. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Here's a good example, guys. There are some very smart men that we see that can very much bash on MGTOW and the philosophy of MGTOW. Now, when I made my first video about it and I was just exploring MGTOW and I was reading off of Wikipedia, I was like, men going their own way is a group of men that do. And I was like reading out loud, I was kind of researching it, and I was curious about it. But you know what? Some people in my comments were really good about not just completely trying to close my mind and being like, you're an idiot, all this stuff. They were like, hey, they were giving me very rational perspectives. And then I was like, interesting. Okay, there is a lot to learn here. That's when I dove into MGTOW. And then that's when I found the stuff like the court system. And that was the domino that I needed to hear, the legal system, to go, holy cow, yeah. Oh, MGTOW's the way. But it's all about what can I learn. So to me, it's really interesting when we see people bash on MGTOW. It's like if they were to stop and go, all right, I have 3 guys, 4 guys, 5 guys, 6 guys now telling me MGTOW's the way, or going, you have it all wrong about MGTOW. To me, in my brain, when I had 2 or 3 guys on my video commenting going, hey man, that's not exactly what MGTOW is, just so you know, I was like, oh, interesting. What can I learn about this? Then I dove in. That to me it's interesting because you'll see very smart people that they do not have this mindset of what can I learn. They go, oh, I hear some guys commenting on MGTOW. They're just angry and bitter, as opposed to going, what can I learn from these guys? What can I learn? You know how much, like I say, there's so much in common that some guys that speak out against MGTOW that I'm just like, man, if we sat down, I could talk to you about what this is. But they hear it and they shut it off, as opposed to going, what can I learn? What can I learn from this? It's just another great way to kind of go around, just thinking, just being a learner, always being a learner. I got a quote here from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Emerson said, every man I meet is my superior in some way, and that I learn of him. I highlighted that. I thought that was really cool. This is the same thing. In my walks, every man I meet is my superior in some way, and in that I learn from him. Everybody. The guy, the homeless man on the side of the road, side of the street, you could learn something from him. And it's way more fun when you get curious about what can I learn from him? What can I learn from her? What can I learn from them? It makes life more fun. Instead of being scared of meeting new people, or even being like, I don't want to meet someone else new. It's like, if I'm going to go out somewhere and I have to meet people new, it's like, I just, boom, turn it on in my brain. I'm like, okay, what can I learn from these people? This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. And that mindset, when you go in with a mindset like that, everything is way more fun. And then you end up learning a lot from people. You can't learn anything from someone that's not intellectually honest. Well, you can learn about some of the games they play. I get guys that will message me stuff and they're like, dude, how did you learn so much about women? It's like, I'm curious. I'm curious with women. When I worked with all women, when I have friends that are women, I am curious. I like to hear their point of view on things. I like to go like, wait, hold on. Why do you think that? Like, what made you think that? What made you feel that way? And I get curious, and then they tell me. And then I just have a better perspective of how they are thinking about things. Because again, it's so fun going around just, what can I learn? What can I learn from this person? It's hard to talk to a blue pill man. Absolutely. And as an example I gave last week about blue pill men, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, that it's kind of awkward and sometimes you have to rely on like sports or whatever. But even that, it's like if someone is into sports and I see, okay, this guy's a Green Bay Packer fan. I start with that. Hey, what made you become a Green Bay Packer fan when you're in Seattle, Washington? And then I get them started on that. And then I just get curious about things. And all of a sudden you find that maybe you had some things in common with the blue pill man that you might not have before. But also with blue pill men, it's fun again to get their perspective on stuff with dating and all and women, because you can also kind of be like, okay, wow, look how much I've learned because I remember thinking like he did there. It's just a fun way to look at things. It makes life more interesting. Okay, here we go. Carl Rogers, the eminent psychologist, wrote in, I can't see my software here is covering it up, on something becoming a person. I have found it of enormous value when I can permit myself to understand the other person. The way in which I have worded this statement may seem strange to you. Is it necessary to permit oneself to understand another? I think it is. Our first reaction to most of the statements which we hear from other people is an evaluation of or judgment rather than an understanding of it. When someone expresses some feeling, attitude, or belief, our tendency is almost immediately to feel that's right, or that's stupid, that's abnormal, that's unreasonable, that's incorrect, that's not nice. Very rarely do we permit ourselves to understand precisely what the meaning of the statement is to the other person. And again, this is kind of what I linked to with like the feminist thing. When a woman is a feminist now, although I really want to combat them, I want to tell them how this, I think, in my opinion, is this ideology is ruining relationships, is ruining the traditional marriage and all that stuff. I want to do that, but I understand that won't change their mind or anything. So instead, I just try to learn. When I mentioned in the video about arguing with women is completely pointless, you may as well bang your head against a wall. It is pointless. So instead of arguing with women, because things will come up that you want to argue with women about, I try to understand how did they get to this point. And it's almost like a little puzzle. It's almost like a little maze that you can kind of have fun, tricking yourself into getting interested about. It's like, how did they get to this point where they think all men are evil? Like if someone had that mindset, I would have fun being curious. How did they get to this point? And I would just ask these questions and I would just kind of peel back the onion layer little by little. Maybe we never see eye to eye on something, but I understand something differently about how they're seeing the world. Again, that's a little more interesting and a lot more fun than trying to argue with somebody. Or trying to be like, nah, you're wrong. You're an idiot. You're wrong. We see that a lot too. You're wrong. You're an idiot. It's like, I wonder why they think the way they do. And then I ask questions. I get curious. And it will make you not only come off as a great conversationalist, but it will also be way more fun. Because don't we get bored of ourselves? Like I get bored. I know my own thoughts about things. I'd rather hear other people's thoughts on things. I'd rather learn about other things from other people because I already know what's in my own head. Never argue with a woman. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I've actually still never read that book. But I agree with the title. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Never argue with a woman. Yeah, true. Don't argue with her. But when she wants to argue with you, you know that anything you say she's not going to see your logical side of things, typically. So instead, just get curious. Try to figure out how she got to the way that she got. Like, how did she get here? It will make you more sane as a person, and it will make your relationships with people better. With sisters of yours, with your family members, with coworkers of yours, with random people, guys, women, it doesn't matter. All of this stuff, it's like, instead of being like, okay, that's wrong, it's like, I wonder why they see it this way. I wonder why they see it the way they do. And when you get curious like that, it's like, it makes it so much more fun because then you dive into, different topics and things that maybe you didn't think you were interested in before, but it's like, whoa, okay, wow, I learned something new. Don't forget, subscribe, like, comment, share the video, but definitely subscribe.